Hey Guardians, so I've recently started playing around with a new Stasis Warlock build, and I've got to say this setup is pretty solid. You're going to be getting Infinite Stasis turrets for the Warlock, you're going to freeze and slow pretty much everything that gets in your way, and everything is just going to come to a complete halt, regardless of what you're doing. Now I've tested this build in a few things from Master Nightfalls where all champions are present, a solo Master Empire hunt, and some casual PvE activities, including Master Lost sectors. So this build will work for whatever you intend to do, and down below in the description I'll have not just one but two dim links for two setups. One of them will be for endgame PvE and the other will be for casual PvE activities. But as we go through the video I will show those setups and different variants and give you alternatives to use if you don't want to use the things I'm running. But now that all mods are available to all players, there's really no excuse why you can't run certain mods with this build. Now guys, if you enjoy this one then a rating is much appreciated. Be sure to let me know down below what your best setup is for the Stasis Warlock currently and what builds you're running these days, even if that ain't Stasis. But now guys, before we start, we got a quick sponsor to go through that have really supported the channel over the past year. This video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. With over 80 million players, Raid is one of the biggest RPG mobile games on the platform. Why not come along and join the fight? What I like most about Raid is being able to develop my champions freely to my liking. With billions of ways to customize your champions, you can really make that perfect champion you've always dreamed of. You'll be able to upgrade their level, their rank, their skills, and there's just so much you can do with build crafting. And then using those champions you'll be able to take part in extreme battles against some of Raid's toughest bosses, or even other players. And the best part about Raid is that it's free, and the graphics are just incredible. And right now, Raid has prepared something special for all new Raid players. It's time to vote for your favourite starter champion. Once you've downloaded the game, go to championselect.plarium.com and then you enter your player ID, and from here, you'll be able to vote for your selected champion, and by doing this, you'll have the chance to win real life and in-game prizes like free epic and legendary champions, and even some Amazon gift cards up to $1,000. This event runs until February 10th when the crowned champion and prize winner will be selected. Also, just by logging in and playing Raid for 7 days between now and February 20th, you'll get the new legendary champion based on the MMA and pro wrestling legend, Ronda Rousey. There's also a fresh update including the new Forge Pass Season 6, the player and points program to earn in-game goodies including their legend champion, and a lot more. In preparation for Raid's 4th anniversary, this month sees the launch of the 4th anniversary Titan event, where you'll be able to earn points by competing in special themed events to use on some truly amazing rewards, so don't miss out. So this is the best time to get started in Raid, and by clicking my link in the description or scanning my QR code here on screen, you'll get incredible bonuses worth $35. This includes the epic champion, Jotun, 100,000 silver, 50 gems, and 2 epic skill tomes. All this treasure will be waiting for you here. Just click my link down below to get started, and I'll see you in the game. Okay, now getting straight back into the video, I will first mention that if you do like these builds and you want to see more like this, then you can find the full collection of new and updated builds in the playlist link down below. But with this one today, you're going to be running around with pretty much infinite stasis turrets, which are just going to freeze everything and make life so much easier for you to ad clear without continuously being shot at, which works nicely in endgame PvE. Now sure, you can argue that you're just slowing things down by having champions continuously being frozen, because the interaction with stunning champions and freezing them is kind of annoying, as you could stun them and then shooting them out of being frozen is going to unstun them, and therefore make champs like Overload start regenerating health, and Unstops obviously being unstopped. But if you're someone who wants the endgame process to feel easier for ad clearing by having everything slowed and frozen, and you're happy to take your time, then this build is going to be for you, because it will make the endgame PvE process a lot easier. But it will also make it a little slower in terms of dealing with champions. I'd almost recommend not using a build against champions unless you want to temporarily keep them frozen while you're dealing with ads or other things like mini bosses that are going to get in your way. But either way, it's a great build to use. Now as a quick example of how you use this build in endgame PvE, you'll first become Charge of Light, ideally twice. Then you'll throw down 2 stasis turrets by holding a grenade charge. This will give you 1.5 stasis turrets back. Then you just repeat the process. As long as you're charged with light, you can pretty much get infinite stasis turrets one after another, and on the unlikely chance you're nowhere near close to refilling a second grenade charge, you instead use the actual grenade, and this in most cases should instantly refill both charges of the grenade, assuming you're also Charge of Light. You only ever want to use the grenade when you are Charge of Light, otherwise you ain't getting infinite turrets one after another. Now should you really continuously keep throwing down stasis turrets until you have like 10 up at once? Not really, that's just overkill. You only really want about 2 to 4 turrets up at a time. That will handle almost everything in the room or area that are in range of that turret, so I wouldn't keep spamming them down. Now we are using the counter charge, the new artifact mod, to become Charger Light, so we can run 4 firepower mods at the same time, but this relies on having champions out, so it's great to do in things like a GM, so this is what we're going to use for the endgame setup. Now for the casual setup, we'll be relying on stasis shards, so to begin, throw down a stasis turret. This will slow and freeze enemies generating shards that will track to you. Upon collecting, you're going to get 2 stacks of Charger Light and ability energy. Then from here you just again throw down a turret or use the grenade if you think you'll need more energy. Just make sure that you Charger Light on that second throw. Now you can just spam the normal grenade if you want to, assuming that you have at least 1 turret up to generate shards to give you that Charger Light. You should be able to spam turrets and grenades one after another though, in that order, as long as there are adds around to be frozen. So you can just throw down a stasis turret, use the grenade charge, throw down another turret and repeat. It might take some getting used to actually understand how it all works, but it is pretty straightforward once you use the build enough times. So before I go over the setup, I will just point this out that this is the base setup that you want to run regardless of how you intend to use the build. And then afterwards I'll show the 2 variants that you can decide to use, as well as other alternatives if you don't like those 2 setups. So firstly you want to run the Warlock Stasis Shadebinder with the Winter's Wrath Super. Then you want a Healing Rift and a Cold Snap Grenade. The Cold Snap is required, so make sure you have that on. The aspects are going to be Bleak Watcher. Press and hold a grenade to convert your grenade into a stasis turret that fires slowing projectiles at targets. After so many slow stacks, that target will become frozen. The second aspect is Glacial Harvest. Freezing targets create stasis shards around that frozen target. Those stasis shards are going to give us melee energy. For the fragments, Whisper of Refraction. Defeating slowed or frozen targets are going to grant us class ability energy. Whisper of Torment, gain grenade energy when you take damage from targets. Whisper of Conduction, nearby stasis shards come to us with a plus 10 resilience and intellect. And then Whisper of Chains, while you are near frozen targets or a friendly stasis crystal, you take reduced damage from targets with a plus 10 recovery. For the exotic armor piece, you want the Osmiomancy Gloves. Your alternative is Eye of Another World, but you really want the gloves if you want to get those infinite turrets. Now the gloves are going to give you your cold snap grenades and an additional grenade charge that recharges quicker on direct impact. The seekers spawned from cold snap grenades travel further. This is why I said use that second charge if needed to get that extra bit of energy, if firepower ain't going to be enough. In terms of those mods though, in the helmet I'm running firepower, as well as another firepower in the arms, and another firepower in the chest. These 3 firepower mods will stack, so you want a minimum of 3. Ideally 4, because when you throw a grenade while Charger Light, you're going to get grenade energy back, which I believe is about 15% per stack. Now if you're using this build in endgame PvE, I recommend running a 4th firepower mod in the class armor with 2 bomber mods to reduce that grenade cooldown when using your class ability, and then a counter charge artifact mod to become Charge of Light, which will happen when you or an ally stuns a champion. If you're going into easier content, I'd recommend elemental shards in the class armor to make stasis shards count as elemental wells, along with a distribution mod. Then in any armor, run an elemental charge to become Charge of Light when picking up those stasis shards. This is probably my favourite setup, and I'd maybe rather use this in endgame PvE with 3 firepowers, because it'd be easier to become Charge of Light without relying on stunning champions. But other alternatives to use are any green Charge of Light mod, so things like Precision Charge, Quick Charge, Swift Charge, any mod that will make you Charge of Light that you prefer. Although using these in GMs are going to be a bit harder to achieve consistently, so using the elemental charge and stasis shards or the counter charge are going to be the most efficient regardless. Now overall I do like this build a lot, but is it the best build in the game to use? No. Is it going to help you survive more in endgame PvE? Yes. Every build has a pro and con. This one is just great for freezing everything. It's fun to use and you'll also be able to complete harder activities easily, but at a slower pace. So if your team is struggling to complete a Grandmaster Nightfall, then this build might just help you survive that tiny bit more, because everything is just going to be frozen. The only things that are going to attack you are mini bosses and bosses. Just freeze everything and take your time. But if it ain't stasis builds you're looking for, or this one just isn't for you, then be sure to check out the playlist down below, because I do cover new and updated builds every week here on the channel for Destiny 2. In all seasons, not just for Season of the Seraph. So check it out because you might just find your new best build. But for now guys, thank you for tuning in, go freeze everything, and I'll see you guys soon for the next build.